Things like Corki, though, have made it through.
This is the thing. In their previous series, BLG would get the Corki because something like the Renekton or the Lily would get picked up right now. Now, that does mean BLG can respond with both of them just
Renekton
now.
Lily.
but we haven't seen LPL deal with Corki well. This is a very powerful first pick.
Said it in Game 1 draft, once it was banned, 20-8. It's current playoffs record, and you can, depending on how you want to manipulate and twist the data, you could argue it's kind of close to like 20-4 in terms of where some of those losses came from earlier on in the playoffs by BLG. Though Ashe went all the way through last time round, wasn't picked or banned, but this time here, Elk likely going to be handling that one, and Wei gets his hand at the Zyra this time.
And really interesting to already see BLG completely flip their priorities from the previous draft, right? Last time around it was all about the Lily or the Renekton. This time they're looking bot lane.
They're looking bot lane. This does open up that Renekton, which was B1 for BLG. Now, I gotta say, as much as we talk up Bin as one of the greatest top laners to ever grace the LPL, I think Breathe had a better first game. Now he has that Renekton, now he has a chance to play that lane dominance. I will say, there are plenty of options to that Renekton. Bin could very easily go towards something, you know, like that Jax if he wanted to do. The cannon's not there, which is a bit of an issue, but I want to see if Bin just uses that red side to say, all right, let's see what I can use to really bully this Renekton.
Especially if Tarzan picks something that can pair up really well in terms of looking for early dives with the Renekton, like the Nidalee. How exactly Bin is going to end up responding, not only in the one-to-one, but just in general, you know, what pick does he have that's going to be able to play safe side against this kind of dive threat?
Yeah, so now the question kind of changes, because when you play against the Renekton in a 1v1, you're like, oh, there's a couple of things which can answer that. When you're playing against the Renekton Nidalee, maybe you think about something like that Cassandra instead, and you just play a little bit later on. Zeri gets locked in.
I think one thing that's worth mentioning as well, not just that this Renekton and Nidalee's gone through, but both the Nidalee and the Corki were in the first set of bans last time around. It's a totally different landscape that we're playing on now.
Yeah, but not only this, BLG have opted to go towards Zeri, so they have an AD matchup in the mid lane through against Xiaohu. This is a big bet of confidence that Bin has a champion pool deep enough to survive 2 more bans, because realistically, Weibo, they don't really care about support bans, right? They know that no matter what, they're probably going to end up counted out down there. It's the only thing that BLG actually have left, realistically, to last pick is going to be support. So to me, now, you know, again, exactly what Bin is going to have to go through in terms of champion pool is a big question mark to me. As Weibo, you anticipate 2 bans up
I'm ready for the
side.
Quinn. I'm ready for the Quinn.
Well, we'll see. Quinn Vayne, maybe we have some fun with that one.
Wow.
The Rel's
Bit of action.
I have to say, don't you dare talk about action. That champion has caused much pain over the years. Rel, really big support champion share between the two of these as well. Really strange to me that Weibo aren't just banning away the Cassandra, one of the easiest things to outlast the Renekton Nidalee, because it's just really hard to get under the skin of in that top lane. Instead, trying to take away some of that heavy CC option.
Maybe this is Weibo saying, look, we don't want Bin on a carry. Leave the Cassandra open. That way he's not going to kill us all.
Yeah,
Actually, no, Cassandra does that anyway.
I think it's the only thought process that I can think of that makes sense here is they don't mind if he gets Cassandra, I guess, but we saw what kind of threat a team composition can pose when you have so much, you know, anti-dive, right, through game 1. Weibo might have lost that game, but it was through unfortunate circumstances. We started to see the pieces actually form together. So let's see exactly where they decide to go. They do remove away the Cassandra in the end. So now Bin has to dig a little bit.
Yeah, it digs a little bit, and the question is what he can survive with up there. I'm also looking at Weibo's composition. I don't see teamfight engage on Weibo right now, and that could be a huge issue, because now they won't have that Rel. I mean, BLG could even lock in something like a Leona right now if they want to take that away too, and to say you're left with just Rakan and Alistar. Weibo could find themselves in a bit of a flip situation with the last game, where they're playing against the heavy disengage, where they need to have that engage. And I don't know if they're going to have the tools to get that from 2
And the problem is they're playing into Ashe. On is on R5. If you lock in a melee champ, you're getting brought. Like that is just the nature of the situation. And now I wonder if perhaps, I mean, do you want to take the Braum yourself blind? I mean, into Ashe it feels like it's gonna suck, and then maybe you get an okay AD matchup, but again, what's left up? Maybe you dip further down. It's something like Ezreal, I guess, is still S tier. I was gonna say Caitlyn, but this works too. The Leona's made it through, I guess.
So
but again,
but this is the thing, the Braum's there now. I was wondering whether to go towards the Rakan, just because it can survive lane against the Braum a bit more. Yeah, an R5 Braum now looks really good for BLG. It's very good with the Ashe, and it means that Weibo, they needed that teamfight engage. Chris kind of takes the backpack on the shoulder and says, all right, there's a chance that I get countered by something in lane. And of course, that's being hovered now. But they needed this. They needed some AoE teamfight engage to get on top of the Ashe, and the Zyra, which can play from a long range, put down a ton of disengage. Now we need to get to see whether they can survive through the Ashe Braum. Very powerful lane.
What I like about the adaptations here, though, from Weibo, and if you're comparing Game 1 to Game 2, BLG are actually kind of running a similar style of composition in terms of kind of stand your ground, look for the re-engage and turn. But Weibo have the gear to just play poke, right? Nidalee, Corki, Ezreal, it's there. You can outrange what BLG have going for you. So I do want to see if Weibo are going to look towards that in the mid game, or again, whether or not we're just going to get the full LPL style of just diving in 24/7 and then just playing the fights and seeing how they roll out.
So you have the triple range. I think it's very powerful from Weibo. My worry is Ashe can start fights at will. You don't have anyone who can shrug off an Ashe engage. If you dive too hard as well, trying to stop that, the Zyra is going to be there to stop things as well. And if you get in this kind of poke war around the objectives, what happens if Bin gets himself a huge side lane advantage on the Gnar versus Renekton? He's incredible at that matchup, maybe the best player of it in the world. BLG very much have answers to the poke in multiple different ways.
Last time these two teams faced off, it was very much Bin taking control of that matchup. Breathe redeemed himself somewhat against top esports, managing to outmatch 369. But now, Bin has the Gnar side of that Renekton matchup. It's definitely favorable for him. It's definitely something he's won on before. BLG drafting a powerful composition, but that Corki is there for the side of Weibo. The Renekton Nidalee is there for the side of Weibo. Perhaps they can find that snowball.
I think the last game gave us some things to kind of tug on for this next game too, and saying, okay, we know that these teams like to play that very fast, frenetic style of macro, teleports all over the place, trying to get these cross maps, hitting different towers. I'm really worried going into this game now, because if that's a similar style of play and the Gnar gets left out of that net and the Gnar starts breaking up the side lane turrets, it's really hard to play against Bin with a side lane advantage.
I mean, in game number 1, we had a 4v4 on the top side while there was a 1v1 down bot. That ended in a kill for BLG. Now, that was nice Smolder, which, you know, you expect early game Smolder to be getting 2 solo kills. That's just,
of course, that's what we do.
We'll see if a similar thing is going to happen. I mean, Jamada, what's your read? Can Weibo pull out this early game?
I mean, again, I think they've got the agency now through the bottom side at the very least to make that, you know, to make that happen. Through Braum and Ashe, I think you could even look to, again, if you're willing to throw your top laner out towards the wolves of a Renekton Nidalee, you can look for a map split, make things kind of awkward on the first jungle clear, and then, again, with Braum and Ashe, you should have first move. That means Braum's going to be able to get out to the map, try and maintain that map split, and then kind of enable, you know, a bigger jungle lead and a bot side lead at the same time. And if Renekton Nidalee doesn't really get rolling, again, the threat isn't necessarily going to be there in the mid game.
Which is why, for me, for the side of Weibo, all eyes on Tarzan. This guy came in and revolutionized this team. Yeah, a bit of a weak start to summer. That's a long time ago now. This is by far the most important player to his team. He's on a Nidalee. We know exactly what we can do with it. This champion is mostly banned away from him. I understand the complaints about Nidalee as a champion, but Tarzan's really good at it. If he can have a super solid early game, get up in the face of the enemy team and start snowballing some of these key pieces around the map, I think that's where they have their real X factor.
And you know the BLG understand that. Like, they had Shun. They've played with Nidalee plenty.
Has he ever played Nidalee before, that guy?
Once or twice. They know the danger of that pick. They respect Bandit in game number 1. It's come through in game number 2. And we'll see if it can pay off for them. And I have to say, Weibo, they got to pull something out here for game number 2. Like, if they lose this one, and especially if it's in commanding fashion, suddenly the faith may waver. But nobody expected them to be here in the first place. It would be the most Weibo thing to find wins here today.
It's Weibo's first LPL finals. They made a World Finals before they made an LPL finals, which is just so funny to me under this brand, at least. This team is just not one which makes sense in any conventional terms, which is exactly why you just can't stop watching them.
You have to expect the unexpected when it comes to Weibo. They've made it to the LPL finals. This is BLG's first summer finals as well, losing out to LNG last year. BLG managing to win in spring. They are looking to set a precedent with a back-to-back win. This would be Knight's 4th win in a row in the LPL. He wants to fight for that title of one of the greatest of all time. And he's up against one of the very greatest of all time, Xiaohu, to do it. He got a solo kill in game number 1. He's on that Zeri for game number 2. Let's see what he can muster.
The crowd are trying, everybody. But the gyros are there. Oh, those last few, that sounded very.
They're getting more coordinated.
They got
it's building.
They got the spirit.
Yeah, if there's one thing the LPL crowd has, it's spirit. That is for sure. Let's take a look at how this early game's going to go. Nidalee versus Zyra. This is going to be all about the early pathing.
And I think also one thing we didn't see in that first game was the early wards to spot out something like this, and there was no disruption onto Zyra's first plants. We've seen some teams actually invade Zyra twice, one to disrupt the seeds, and the second to hit her on her first camp. We're going to go maybe see a bit more of that vision traded over early. This will influence the jungler's pathing because they will know where the enemies are at various points in their clear.
Yep, so they should see Tarzan here, so they know he's on the bottom side. A ward is going to be placed as well on the entrance, so Tarzan can't necessarily path, the quick path towards blue, but being Nidalee, he can still hop over the back of the Dragon Pit, so we'll see whether or not he can still find a way to slip in and interrupt the ways full clear here.
And we'll keep a track of the timings here, because, we've all seen how fast Zyra can get through a jungle.
He's doing it. He's doing it as well. But there's two wards. There's a ward on the top entrance. Unless he's going to go down to Crux, but it looks like he's dragging the red. I could be overreading into it. I'm overreading into it. That's fine. We'll see. Look, I feel like, again, if you're Tarzan, you really want to make this early game as awkward as possible without involving the bottom side 2v2, because that's the strength of where BLG are currently looking to be.
We'll keep our eyes on those jungles. I do want to keep an eye on that bot lane as well, because importantly, Elkanon kind of ran the bot lane in game number 1. They've got a really strong duo again.
We have sometimes had some issues with the 2v2. Chris goes in, but you are a Leona.
Oh, Light's in so much trouble. The passive stacks up the stun onto Crisp. They're winning the 2v2 again. Crisp is being taken down. First blood for Elk. Health bar's low, but on's behind a minion.
It's Ashe Braum, it's Elkanon. This 2v2 so powerful. Tarzan's going to walk over to the other side of the jungle, but the 2v2 damage is done.
I don't know about this.
He went over a ward. Okay, he spots Way. They both know each other are there.
Yeah, but even with the HP that, on an Elk are working on, you can still have him move over, surely. I wonder what the bottom side wave stay is looking like. Wave's not going to get pounced onto, but this blue buff's really low. On an Elk, I'm not interested in moving right now. Though as they recognize the wave's going to freeze in, surely Tarzan's on a bit of a timer. It looks like he's going to complete the heist, however.
Yeah, Tarzan basically realizes, okay, we lost the kill in bot side, but the HP bars are too low for that bot lane to come roam towards him, so it felt safe enough. Tarzan's still sticking around a little bit. Now you can see Elkanon still haven't recalled, they still haven't regen. They could actually be in a bit of trouble here.
Crisp goes in for the engage. He's underneath the tower on. Jumps to his AD carry and will survive for now. Way still in the area. I don't think that the dive can come on through.
You can force Elk off the wave. Maybe he's no summon spells, but Wave's here to cover as well. A
spear! Ooh. Not quite sure how that hit. It looked a little sideways, but spear lands. Tarzan's just going to keep this going. On dodges that one, but that's unbreakable on cooldown now. Way looks for the route onto Tarzan. On gets the slow, but the spear lands. Tarzan, the absolute sniper, is looking for more as well. Elk's next, and he hits it. It's not enough damage, but Tarzan starts strong.
All eyes on Tarzan, MVP for Weibo throughout summer. This guy has revolutionized the way this team has played. And, for a player that has made so many finals in his career, it would mean so much for him to finally get some real ground in one and take home some silver for himself. An early game like this, and trying to shake off that rust to game 1 a little bit is a great start, especially on a pick like the Nidalee, which needs to get the ball rolling early.
The amount of pressure that just alleviated from Light and Crisp in the extended as well, because Elkanon have to miss so much CS as Knight eats a pretty bad trade, is huge, because now again a little bit more freedom, a whole level lead if I'm looking at that right. Light is level 4 because Crisp died, so he got solo XP and then bounced back XP as well, and Elk had to miss all of that, so now that's a big advantage that potentially Weibo could walk away with it now.
That kind of play as well, it's really something you see from both these teams in different ways throughout the entire length of the game, where some big play happens and it doesn't even matter if they lose the play, they just look at the broken pieces after all of the rubble is kind of settled and they say, all right, this is the next 10 seconds, 15 seconds, I can make something happen. The 4 resets happen before cooldowns come through. Tarzan gets ahead through that now. Now we need to see whether he can push that advantage a little bit further. Step 1 happens, they manage to get something in that bot lane, and of course they managed to stop Elkanon from resetting for a very long time. Now the question is, what can they do after this?
I think in this sequence, Tarzan missed 1 spear, and it might have been that one he just chucked whilst he was in 2 speed to get here, because this is between the minions.
What? I've seen Nautilus hooks.
Through the minions.
I've seen Nautilus hooks attack those minions.
Yeah, so have I. He missed 2, but I mean, one was kind of a throwaway. This one snipes on in the head. And then, of course, the last one also clipped onto Elk, but didn't quite kill him. So, again, Tarzan just great accuracy when it matters the most.
And you could see the pressure that Xiaohu is putting on mid as well. Tarzan and Xiaohu, they've been in finals before. This is not their first time. They shake off game number 1 and they return strong. This is what we wanted to see from Weibo. Like, you can't afford to let a game 1 like that rattle you, and it's clear that it hasn't.
Weibo, still though, that's the start of something that cannot be the end of it. They're actually still behind in team gold. The lanes have not been solved just yet. They are going once again. Tarzan heading towards bot.
On, already chunked. Crisp does take a little bit of damage, but the spears come in again, this time dodged. Wei arrives on the scene and Tarzan suddenly becomes the target instead. Elk is 2v1ing in the meantime. Another spear landing. Tarzan, inspired by the recent Olympics it seems, as every javelin is on target.
It's going to sound like such a random tangent. You know there's a banned way to throw javelins in the Olympics, you spin around and throw. Go look that up sometime. Not the time for it right now, we're going to file the cast.
Yeah, Weibo. This play here on the bottom side though, chunking out on, means he can't necessarily walk up and very freely, you know, apply the stacking passive. And Wei also being slightly chunked down, just having a bad base off of the first sequence, or the first rather clear, means that this is now a dragon for Weibo on the bottom side where Ashe and Braum is in the other lane.
So we are going to see Grubs go down to Wei. Zyra very, very good at killing Grubs as well. The way that her kind of W passive works when you're killing the little mites is that you get a lot of that cooldown.
Wow.
Xiaohu wants to stop him.
Wei forced to flash, but he's on the wrong side of the play. Xiaohu finishes him off. In comes Knight to try and save the day. Flashes to safety, and a Knight in shining armor indeed.
Yeah, Knight and also on there at that play, the passive stunning up both Bereave and Xiaohu just means no more damage can be applied and they die in the CC. Great rotation to stop these Grubs from going down fully.
Does stop that. Can BLG get back in time to do that? The problem is when you go towards those Grubs, especially against something like the Nidalee too, you can't waste too much time. If he goes back to the Grubs now, he might drop some farm to the Nidalee. Xiaohu, again, real credit to him. We were saying Tarzan, Xiaohu, they have done this all before in terms of this final stuff. Come in again, at least get Wei. Giving 2 kills over though, it is not particularly great. One of them goes towards the Gnar, one of them goes towards the Zeri as well. Those are big leads which could start exploding. We already talked about that Gnar versus Renekton matchup being a big problem potentially later into the game.
It's a little bit awkward to go for those extra Grubs. Wei's already got that first one. He's on his chickens right now, but Tarzan's on the bottom side, and On suddenly finds that out the hard way. The Unbreakable comes out, might just save his life. Spear predicted this time by Off.
A little bit wayward, but you can see how much damage that Tarzan has up front. Now look at this, because Elk being forced all the way back. They know Tarzan's bot side, and of course Wei top side looked like he was looking for Grubs again, so it's a blue buff invade where Elk's also losing out. And I mean, BLG just don't have numbers down here this minute. They are rotating over, but again, blue buff probably gone. And that's all they really look for here.
A little bit of damage onto On. It's not too significant. Gromp here is basically what we're fighting over at this point. Crisp spotted. Tarzan's still there, looking for a javelin. BLG do seem to be reading them now, but look at this wave that's going to be missed.
This is the big thing. This is the win for Weibo. They didn't want to overstay. They didn't want to go into Knight popping ults at them with the Zeri, just Tony Hawk wall riding over towards them. But they can at least stop bot lane getting towards some of this farm down here and start using Light's Ezreal to put out some really good damage. Light really being accurate with these skill shots right now alongside Tarzan. It is going to lead to potentially a threat.
Yeah, maybe. They can find some poke underneath this tower, turn it into a dive, but I mean, big point now is that Elk both summon the spells this time out, Podges on another spit, has the Crystalline Arrow as well for a defensive play.
Importantly, it's risky to be here, but he managed to catch the last 2 waves. He's done a very good job of hitting the vast majority of these minions. Yeah. His footwork, I mean, how the hell is he still 3/4 of his HP?
Not getting hit by any of those skill shots, but also On, then hits level 6.
Slow on Xiaohu, ults come in, the vines are down, and they strangle the life from Xiaohu. Tarzan moves in, but there's little he can do to defend.
Xiaohu flashed in top side to kill Wei, and BLG returned the favor twice. Ult and bot side gonna force out that cleanse.
That's from Light, slow onto Crisp, engage onto On, double knocker, but a stun comes in. On flashes to safety as Elk looks to chase. You never escape from a fight with Ashe, but Elk decides this one's over.
Weibo just really want to dunk on Elk, and On, you can see that Grubs are now being finished by Wei. Tarzan is now hunting for these low HP bot laners.
But where are they? They've escaped through the river. Elk trying to escape that way. The ward down, he's going to move back underneath the tower. Look at this movement! They're absolute secret agents. BLG's bot lane surviving for now.
They want Elk sums at least for this.
Their time is up. Crisp goes underneath the tower. He'll go down. It's 1-for-1. Slow on Tarzan as Knight arrives again at the last second. and somehow BLG get away with it. Oh, Breathe is in trouble on the top side. Wei might just finish the job. He's out of cooldowns for now. Breathe will walk away, but Knight now getting chased down. It's pure action. Tarzan chunked, rocket onto Elk. They will back away.
Somehow this play keeps going. Weibo just keeps stopping these resets happening. The big winner of this is probably Light, who gets to keep hitting this turret. The only reason this doesn't go from bad to worse is because BLG end up somehow Metal Gear Soliding their way across that vision and back under towards that turret. While all this is happening, Bin is left out of the net again. 1.2k ahead in that Gnar matchup. Now that's a huge problem.
Yeah, ring around the rosy games Elkan on, I guess. But also another kind of silent benefactor of this play, Wei. Wei is almost a full level up now on Tarzan, just through farming his jungle on the top side. And Tarzan, of course, you know, stealing away camps from Wei, sure, but whilst all of the shenaniganery is going on, if he's stealing away camps from Tarzan,
by the way.
He's kind of going 2 camps up per camp, right? So this feels great in the right here, right now, as long as Wei's able to get back to base, potentially finish up the boundaries like Tarzan has, and they're one apiece.
And you know, when I saw the Renekton Nidalee in the draft, I was like, okay, Bin's in trouble. No. Bin has been left on an island. He's about to finish off that 4th plate. He is dominating with a 20 CS lead with 4 plates. He's going to be a problem for Weibo.
Bin is already a problem. He is going to get worse. I believe the phrase he used before was Bin cares not for recycling. The bin day is changing. He's just taking out the trash nowadays. At least that dragon being taken on that bot side.
And I will say, Breathe walked onto the stage today and patted that bicep. Bicep's looking a little bit more like custard now. The way that this top matchup's going. Have you not heard of that? They're like bingo wings. Looks a bit like custard.
No, I've never.
Custard in a bag, no? Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Too English.
Maybe not a finals reference after all. Arrow flash. TP in. Coming through from Knight. Knight is loving being in a side lane today.
And Knight just on this Zeri, it just gets that ability to wall right over the wall. He's not playing Zeri, he's playing Tony Hawk. He just gets to go into these side lanes over and over. You can't just survive here. Chris going in.
Now that's going to be ongoing down. Surely jumps to a minion and actually survives it in the meantime. Tarzan's been sniped, stunned onto Crisp, and he falls. What is this from BLG? They are just dipping Weibo.
The golds come from nowhere. There's a teleport now coming out from Xiaohu just to make sure that Light doesn't get dove. It's 4,000 gold just out of nowhere, out of the hat for BLG. Mostly from top side, yes, but this lead bleeding from the mid lane down back towards the bot side to recover all of these plays Tarzan was making down.
Yes, it's just another one of these series of plays from BLG where it just feels like they just find all of these strong pieces to throw at a player and say, you know what, we'll just make it work. We get this person to the right area of the map, we can improvise. And that's exactly what they've been doing. There is a method to the madness. I'm not saying it's all improv. There's a very good structure to it in terms of pushing waves, roaming, using Zeri kind of like a semi-global, because that wall ride is so important that you can get into play so easily. And even though the bot side 3v3 was working out really well for Weibo before, Xiaohu doesn't choose to teleport towards this early enough. He sat in base. Maybe the call is just different. Surely there must be just a communication error here. Xiaohu is sat in base all that time. He doesn't even teleport back to live.
Chris goes in, but I'm not sure he'll last for long. Perhaps caught out and decided he had to try and find something. Xiaohu now on the top side of the players. Breathe and Tarzan look for a way in, but Bin is just such a monster. He has no fear, and he's about to turn mega. Weibo have got to be cautious how far they step forward here on. He's got the read now on Tarzan. After that first play, he's figured out the javelins. He's getting closed down on here. Slow onto Tarzan, unbreakable. Blocks some damage, and he'll walk away.
Yeah, Tarzan's starting to lose a little bit of his potency at the minute. Not only for accuracy, but still at level 8. I'm sure that Grok will give it to him, but again, all of these plays back to back, the death just then, the dives not going the way that they needed to on the bottom side, it's all starting to unravel a bit for him.
And just
the rest of the top side.
Just look at this last series of plays and how BLG have just so seamlessly gone into the advantage like this. This is exactly why BLG have ruled this year. This team has come out of, you know, bits and pieces, building together towards something incredible over the last couple of years. Ashe are coming through.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow flies in and hits its mark. Tarzan caught and evaporates before our very eyes. And Crisp gone on, blocks the ultimate. Herald down with a smite in tow. Bin turns mega just in time and survives the play. BLG without a casualty continue to roll, Weibo.
Elk is not even needed. BLG do it again. They take all of their strong pieces and throw them at Weibo. And Weibo cannot find an answer. BLG are so good at snowballing these broken games.
I'm not even sure where Weibo go from this point now. They've lost Herald. This is a massive amount of injection of gold for BLG from this tier 2 on the bottom side. And like you said, Nymaera, Elk, you know, there with the crystalline arrow, sure, but his body wasn't. It was just full-blown, you know, front to back in a 4v5.
This
now,
is like a little poster attached to the note. I'll see you in bot lane.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, I think for BLG, you know, a dragon in just under 90 seconds time, just take that for the sake of making sure Weibo don't stack and get one away from Soul, and then Baron's up in 4 minutes. This feels horrible for Weibo. We said, you know, again, maybe they can match the mid-game poke. The tiers aren't even, you know, fully stacked yet, let alone have the Miramar.
They are for Weibo, let me tell you. Weibo fans' tiers are fully stacked with the way this series is going. And Herald now in the mid lane as well.
It's going from bad to worse.
Kill it before it completes its charge, but does charge in, then just send it into this tier 2. And again, control now fully there for BLG. Weibo, I would say it's going to take a miracle, but it feels like even more in this kind of game.
And Nymaera, you talked to me once on one of the casts, and you were saying that these Nidalee deaths, the first couple, they weigh double, you know? And right now, Tarzan, he's had a couple of deaths, and it feels like the momentum just evaporated from Weibo.
Considering how well he played the first few levels, it has really changed. Teleport coming in, Weibo looking for a snapback, but I don't think they've managed to just about close the jaws.
17 minutes, and they look for a comeback play. TP comes on through, and Chris, I mean, he just can't move. He can't do anything in the matchup. You talked about the Braum flash away from the arrow. As in goes Knight for a 1v2, and he wins it as well. It's not just his left hand that's golden. He's coughing at this point as Light takes him out. And Elk will finish one. Breed gets onto Elk as well, but he walks away with no HP. He survives anyway.
I can't believe it, BLG. I mean, the play I like from Weibo, the idea, right? Just throw anything at the wall, see what sticks, but BLG just play it out perfectly. There's no follow-up for Crisp, and everyone falls one by one.
Insult to injury here, BLG pick up a dragon, and Weibo are going to get onto an early soul point. If they win that fight through that teleport, then yes, maybe they get to a soul point off of that, and they can start using that to give themselves options later. Instead, they don't have options. The options in this game are BLGs, and they are Elks. And you know what? It's been a while since we've put our hands together and channeled a bit of our inner prey with the cross-map Ashe arrows, but this one is a bit of divine intervention. Incredible arrow, and they don't even need anything else after that point. Instant kill turns what was a 4v5 into a very easy 4v4. And one of the big things throughout all of these fights is just like how much damage the Zyra's putting out too. This is just incredible amounts of burst coming out from all members of BLG.
Again, it's just about the power of being able to kind of stand your ground, pick your first target, and then move forward, you know, with Ashe, loads with Braum. And here again, I like this play, honestly, from Weibo. It's fine, but the problem is that flash stun over the wall from Chris, it actually connects onto On. It's not chain CC'd onto Wei, so Wei's then able to get his spells out, and Breathe can't actually find the back line. And then from this point on, as soon as Knight goes in, it's pretty much a done deal. Light is able to win out on this 1v1, barely with a little bit of assistance from Xiaohu, but then it's just about this route that comes through. Look at Breathe, trying to find his way onto Elk. 1 HP.
Unbelievable.
So close.
And while we're talking, BLG, of course, are pretty much ending the game. It's only 19 minutes into the game. But it feels once again like Weibo will need a miracle. And you talked of divine intervention. I feel like this BLG roster was divine inspiration for the organization. Before this roster, they had barely succeeded. Last year, when they put this bot lane together, when they brought Shun over, these were players that had never succeeded. They'd been good, but they never succeeded. And boy, are they succeeding today. Xiaohu falls again. Tarzan wants to find something. Health bar's low, the javelin short though. And I don't think Weibo will find their mark.
BLG, what a team. They just keep finding play after play. The flash forward, Tarzan caught out.
There's the knock up, and there is the kill. Another one for BLG. The story continues. This roster came from nowhere last year by beating Weibo 3-0. They went on to lose in World Semifinals to Weibo. This time around, they're not letting them have an inch.
And that death top side in front of Baron as it spawns is going to signify a 20-minute Baron for BLG as well. We'll see if maybe, just maybe, Weibo can find something. But again, needle in a haystack.
Do you know, I was thinking with a Braum there, it shouldn't be possible. On was not in the pit.
No, he was not.
Still a Baron for BLG at the end, but it was close.
Yeah, oh, Breed.
Oh no, Breed, he's caught out again.
Trying to make the
Teleport
play.
through.
Elk got away last time. Breed doesn't want to let it happen. Slices and dices, he finds one. Bin, wow, trades it though. He's about to turn Mega. I don't think this is the opportunity Xiaohu wants.
Nope.
I don't think they can go for more, but Crisp is still hunting right now. Gets caught by the plants, gets caught by a boulder. That tower's still up, by the way.
Yeah, it is. I don't think they're going to be able to find anything else here. Tarzan as well, they're all hunting. But yeah, I mean, for Weibo, it's just a little too late for them, it feels. You know, their Triforce tier items, they're here, but Knight, look at him, he's here.
Knight over the wall has been the story of this entire game. He finds yet another 7, 1, and 8 on the Zeri. Everywhere Weibo go, Knight arrives to answer. Xiaohu forced the Valkyrie away as BLG defend.
Teleport coming in. Weibo don't want the recess. They don't want to use the Baron buff.
Oh, Knight's behind them. Knight has TP'd behind them. He's found his flank. Your teleport be damned, Breed. You get nothing. Wei walks away and BLG outdo them.
Is that a Knight or a ninja? You can't keep track of this guy. Out of the shadows and puts Weibo into the coffin. 10, 1, and 9. Knight is chasing that 4th title in a row.
Left, right, up, down. Knight is coming at you from any angle possible. And right now, BLG, they're breaking the base of Weibo right here.
It's a Knight revolution at this point because he is dominating on the movement. 10, 1, and 9. The base broken open, and I don't think BLG are stopping this play anytime soon. They've got the Baron to work with. No TPs, and actually Wei nowhere near on this one. The 2 inhibs will be all they get. Xiaohu TPs for a flank here, and Chris dives into the action. Elk, the target, but everything's missing. No damage is connecting, and Weibo falls short once more as Knight slides into the play. Oh, and here is Wei to finish the job.
BLG, they've still got the Baron. They're not stopping here.
That's a mini Gnar. He doesn't have any fear, but he might not have any life. No, he does. Breathe. Denied. Again. Can this Croc get a single play?
This could be the game almost. They've got another wave on the top side as well. It's not got a super minion on it, but Baron buff, maybe a Nexus tower at the very least. It depends. They've got Dragon in a few seconds time, so they're going to retreat towards that.
Ben just went for the recall, said, look, folks, I know we're having fun. It's still a finals. Let's maybe just make sure we don't do any of that tiki funny flipping around the end of the base. We know exactly what can happen.
And to be fair, that's a really good point to bring up because BLG, this has not been the cleanest year for them. They had a lot of tee-hee funny games during the regular split.
Especially in summer.
And people asked, like, is this team everything we thought they were going to be? The second we got to playoffs, they flicked a switch. And suddenly, they're this team on our screen now today.
And I think the real special thing is that BLG, when they flicked that switch, for the first time in a very long time, it didn't really feel like there was a contender team. As soon as they just downed Top Esports didn't really manage to have the playoffs they wanted either. It has been BLG left alone here. It's not BLG versus JDG. It's not RNG, EDG, or like these 2-team kind of confrontations at the top. Yeah. This year has basically just been BLG for the LPL.
And you know, the LPL is a region of eras, right? We've had EDG versus RNG for many, many years, a long time ago. Xiaohu being the main factor of that alongside Clearlove. There's a reason they both have 5 titles. We had JDG for the last 3 years, Knight being a part of that story. And now BLG looking for their 2nd title to cement the beginning, perhaps, of an era of their own.
Very by the books for BLG right now, though. Going back in and going for this 3rd in him. No Baron buff, but again, so much pressure. Bin on the side as well, Crystalline Arrow. Front line, but he's
Tarzan's already gone as Bin just jumped into the back line. And Chris will be sacrificed. Knight flashes into 3 of them under the towers, and he gets away with it as well. It feels like BLG cannot make a single mistake. It feels like everything they do works out. They've got that Felix Felicis today as Weibo pushed to their Nexus for the 2nd time today already. 2 wins in 50 minutes total. It's not even been an hour of gameplay as BLG find match points.
Early on in summer, the question to BLG was, are you going to start respecting your opponents? We're done with you flipping these games, not turning that switch on. Well, we've hit playoffs and now we've hit finals, and the answer is definitively yes. And the response now from the rest of the LPL has been shivers. It has been fear, because who can stand up to a team like this as ruthless as BLG?
This was cool, calm, and disciplined from BLG. I don't even know if they really put a foot wrong, now that I think about it, on a global macro sense.
Yeah.
Inside of this game, it was individual prowess from Weibo at best in the early game from Tarzan.
Yeah.
That was about it.
I mean, even in terms of a micro sense, like you're talking about Tarzan, like his javelins to start the game were absolutely phenomenal, but it felt like BLG spent the first 5 minutes downloading him and he never hit a javelin again, you know? Like, and it feels like the micro in all of these fights, the amount of times players on BLG were getting away on 1-2 HP, just barely surviving, the amount of times they shut down Breathe, who was in the mix of 4, getting people low, just never quite able to finish the job.
Yeah, and I do wonder now, as you know, game 2's done, game 3 on the horizon, what exactly Weibo do backs against the wall. We saw what happened in finals last year at Worlds, back against the wall. Nothing really changed. I think if there's a positive to take away from this game 2, it's that Tarzan, at the very least, early game, he can play it and he can play it well. I need to see a slightly better early game plan, because again, playing into that bot side, I get trying to nullify it, but you've got Renekton on the top side, try and push that through, put Bin in the floor and try and give yourself something to play through on the side lane later.
I wonder whether we change jungle champions for Tarzan with that too. Maybe try, it can be a bit risky, especially with stuff like Lilia being very powerful for Wei on the other side. Maybe try a Sejuani or a Maokai again, just try and get something a little bit more tanky, that you have a bit more bit more brute force to kind of just say, look, I've got the HP to take an extra couple of skill shots, something like that. Just force a play a little bit harder, where a Nidalee can sometimes just get shut down in that early game. And as we said, the first couple of deaths you give up as a Nidalee are really, really bad. I don't think you're going to get away with no deaths versus BLG, but the Sejuani makes it a little bit easier to play around that, maybe.
I don't know, we'll have to find out. Something has got to give, something's got to change for Weibo, but for BLG, I mean, it's like their birthday right now. They're looking on the cusp of finishing things off, but Weibo, surely they can dig deep. We'll find out after the break.